Oh, I guess I'm watching this again. What? What? Why am I watching this again? I hate it. It sucks and is bad, and it's also good, but also the worst. I've watched this 1,000 times. Why am I watching this again? You know when you get to the end of a show that gets really bad toward the end of its run, and then you think to yourself, man, the first few seasons of that show were actually really good compared to this. And the first season, oh yeah, that was good TV. And then you go back and watch the first episode again just to make sure you're not crazy, and then suddenly you're just watching the whole show again. Yeah, anyway, the first episode of the show was good and way better than most of the other episodes. It just feels different from the rest of the show, and I think it's because this one is set in some other weird parallel dimension where everything is just slightly off. It establishes itself in what clearly is another town, potentially in some completely different country. Why else would someone wear a baseball hat with an American flag on it, Luke? Come on, man. Why do you have a bunch of American flags on the counter? It's a town that kind of actually looks like a real town instead of a fake TV town, and I guess it's because it was in this episode. I guess for some reason the first establishing scene and Luke's diner scene were filmed somewhere else. Hey, I was right. I guess business in this dimension wasn't so great. And Luke does manicures or something now? Oh hi, Felicia George. Guess once you're done with the facials from Luke's, you can always head over to Croc-a-Doodle-Doo to paint your own pottery, I guess? Well, back then there were loads of normal looking people everywhere, and even normal looking weirdo people, like these people just standing behind a lamppost watching this kid suck at skateboarding. And there's even an above average number of dogs hanging out. There are like 4 dogs in the first 30 seconds of the show. Pet the dog, Lorelai. They're good boys. And this town has like 17 churches too. The first shot of this episode is just churches. Churches. I guess all these churches burnt down, and then they built that one church in Stars Hollow, which was clearly a different church. I guess that would explain why the rabbi and the minister have to share the same church. You probably need this many churches for a town with a population of 9,973? Hey look, they just put this dumb sign in front of the real town sign. Look, you can even see the town name, which they tried to cover in flowers. Hey, that's fun. Anyway, Lorelai just walks into Luke's and grabs a random dirty cup from the first table she sees and goes to beg to have it filled. The first hint at her crippling substance addiction. No, not to coffee. Her addiction to buying good coffee and food, not eating any of it, leaving, and then Luke getting so annoyed at this that he just starts selling her empty cups. You notice how in this dimension Luke has a bunch of stuff that is like definitely out of place? Like where it says, "Have a nice day" on the blackboard behind him, instead of something like, "No hugging in here, you damn animals." And also how in Luke's backstory, he turned his dad's hardware store into a diner because the only thing he really knew how to do was cook. And so all the walls in this dimension's diner have a bunch of like hardware type thingies, you know, like spools of wire and screwdrivers. But you can't buy most of it except for this steel wool for $4.99. I think they forgot about this whole thing in the next episodes. Like, it's all just mugs and shit. I guess Luke got annoyed with Lorelai grabbing random mugs from people that he had to go and hide them back here. And yeah, I know this is a pilot episode. The name of the episode is Pilot, and nobody gets into a plane even once. It's just strange. Most of the episode is still filmed at the eventual town set at the Warner Brothers lot in LA, but this scene and some random establishing shots were done here in this weird dimension for some reason. The outside diner shot at the end of the episode got used in the opening credits, so you get to revisit this weird version of Luke's at the start of every single episode. It was such a recognizable shot that they even recreated it at the end of the very last episode. I'm guessing the scene was done as like a pilot for the pilot, and they just filmed this as a test, like a short little intro to the vibe of the show. And it's good, They established the three main characters, Lorelai being sassy and cool and some back and forth, then some horny guy comes and wants to have sex with both of them, and then bam, she's not my bestie, she's also my daughter.
I am traveling with a friend.
She's 16.
Bye.
Drive safe.
And, oh my god, these must be the Gilmore Girls I've heard so much about. It's good, it's effective. Everything in this dimension seems to be a little slower too. Before they made talking bombastically fast their signature. It's also shot really nicely too, Everyone's in the same place at the same time, unlike later in the show. It feels more like a movie than a TV show. But one thing that always annoyed me about this scene is that Rory can't get enough of her Macy Gray CD. Like, the Gilmores are supposed to have kind of cool taste in music, and I don't know, I don't remember Macy Gray being that cool. Maybe it's me that's out of touch, but like 4 episodes later they're skanking to Rancid, Well, turns out my theory about this being filmed as a separate test was kind of correct. They actually put together an unaired version of this pilot episode, like what a pilot's supposed to be. You put your concept on film, see how it feels once it all comes together, and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work, and oh my god, get rid of that monstrosity. You put this thing in front of some Warner Brothers suit, and they're like, yeah, this is great, but you need to refilm like half of it and get rid of her, and what the hell is wrong with this guy? Get rid of him. And the person in the suit was right. This thing kind of sucks, and the changes they made make it, much better, less creepy. They added a few scenes to flesh out the characters a bit. Like, nerd. The refilmed outdoor scenes were probably done because, it would look weird if the town they lived in suddenly changed in the second episode. But it makes them feel weird. Like when Rory and Lane go into Kim's Antiques, they refilmed them walking inside but kept the original shoot from inside. And they filmed it somewhere called the Glass Chimney, like for smoking crack. And the outside area is just completely different. Like most people wouldn't notice any of this if they hadn't watched this damn TV show more than like 10 times, so who cares? So later on they established that Lorelai runs an inn and is big and important, and everyone else is just a big meanie to her at work.
I despise you.
And we also learned that, in this dimension at least, Michelle is definitely a stud, and all the ladies know it.
Come on, Michelle. I'll tell all the ladies what a stud you are.
I believe that memo has already been sent.
We're then finally introduced to the actual Stars Hollow, a place where normal TV things happen, like this guy with a giant rake showing off to a couple of young ladies. Elaine puts on her Woodstock 99 t-shirt, the good Woodstock because she's a massive Limp Bizkit fan. I mean, she has upgraded from a Kid Rock fan in that other, way worse dimension.
My parents still get upset over the obscene portion size of American food. I seriously doubt I'm going to make any inroads with Kid Rock. Rory, if my parents still get upset over the obscene portion size of American food, I seriously doubt I'm going to make any inroads with Eminem.
To an Eminem fan now, so I guess there's that. There's some crazy man in the middle of the street directing traffic and every car and person just ignores him like it's normal. Can you tell I enjoy watching the background actors in this show? It's just so many of them, like in every scene. This show must have kept half of LA employed for years. I would say about 9,950 of the town's population are background actors. So they walk, they talk, they do their best to avoid eye contact with the tall hunk of man that clearly has issues keeping his jaw closed, and yet is still less creepy than the first guy. The scene in the classroom is the first chance we get to witness a long-running tradition in this show, and that is using the same actor twice for two completely different roles and just hoping no one notices. There's plenty more egregious examples of this later on, Cheryl and Finn, but we do get two of them here in the same scene in the first episode. You might have trouble recognizing her, but the teacher here, Miss Traister, is played by the same actress who plays crazy Carrie Duncan in seasons 4 and 5. I guess there's a tiny chance that she maybe changed her name 3 years later, maybe got fired from her high school teaching job and became a teacher at an elementary school, and I don't know, maybe, probably not. The other double up is one of these girls. Can you pick it? That's right, this girl plays Rory in the rest of the show. And also this girl, she plays Summer, you know, Tristan's gal, later on in this very season. Again, small chance that this is Summer, and she somehow turned her life around to also get into Chilton. I don't know, it could happen. Hey, did you notice this guy? Back at the inn, we meet Suki and learn her defining feature is that she shouldn't be around sharp knives and things. But that's what her job is. It's kooky. And their dream is to open an inn together, apparently.
Someday, when we open our own inn.
Yep. We're also introduced to Mrs. Kim at the antique store. I like Mrs. Kim. She's a great character. She's funny.
Boys don't like funny girls.
Especially earlier on, before things started getting really weird with her. You know, before she started a human trafficking operation out of North Korea, right? That's what she was doing, right? Well, these are simpler times. It's kooky. It's kooky. We learn that Rory is going to Chilton. Woo! All you public school morons are worthless. The only way you're going to get ahead in life is with money, baby. Suck it, Lane. You're scum. It's kooky. Why do they have a framed gun on the wall here? Like, what the hell is wrong with you, America? Or is it Canada in the scene? I think it might be Canada. I don't even know at this point. So 1/3 the way through the episode and we've got some plot going. Lorelai can't afford all the zeros it costs to go to private school because she didn't check beforehand. She's gonna fuck up some commas or else Rory is destined for the unemployment benefit. Oh. Why does she have a photo of the two of them that was clearly taken at that other version of the diner? You know, from earlier in the episode. Maybe that horny guy took the photo on the way out. No, wait, they're actually wearing the same clothes that they wear later in the episode. So, is this a photo from the future? Later on, Suki reminds Lorelai that she has awful parents. Awfully rich parents.
I love being a private school girl.
Ugh. So Lorelai drives all the way back to Canada, I think. Can't tell if they give her empty coffee cups up there. I don't know, there might be some liquid in there, maybe? It's hard to tell. She is a professional actor after all. You know, they do a good job of making Emily and Richard seem really rich here, because rich people just love to fill their house with ugly ass bullshit. Like, look at this. What is wrong with you? Why do rich people want to make their lives so uncomfortable and fucking ugly? Lorelai makes out like having dinner with her family in exchange for several $100,000 is the worst thing that's ever happened to her. You still have all your limbs, lady. Just chill out. Some of us have to see our awful family and we do it for free. And fuck you, I went to public school and I turned out fine. Look at all these scumbag loser public school kids. Future teachers and social workers, probably. This guy's just staring at the notice board on a really weird angle. Probably destined for a career in professional wrestling. Here, Dean starts his obsessive stalker-like pursuit of Rory. And, you know, she's a bit of a dick too. Just snapping at some innocent bystander until she realizes it's actually some hunky hunk man. Then it's all goo-goo eyes and forgetting how words work. You know, girls be losing their speaking capacity around tall guys, right? And shopping, right? And then he continues to be a creep outside.
Well, I've been watching you.
Watching me?
I mean, not in a creepy, like, I'm watching you sort of way. I've noticed you.
Not in a creepy way.
Because you're nice to look at.
Oh. I mean, he's still less creepy than the previous Dimension Dean. Remember earlier when I said that Luke's diner outside shot was really recognizable? Well, they use it again now to establish that they are indeed back at the diner. Except, wait a minute, they have different clothes on again. Look, Luke has his fancy going to the bank shirt on. This establishing shot must be establishing the scene that's like another 20 minutes into the episode. Luke's added some sweet looking hammers to the shelf here. Nice. Rory doesn't want to go to Chilton anymore because of her loss of brain function, giving Lorelai the perfect opportunity to storm out and leave all of their food uneaten. Why do they hate poor people so much? Then we get another not in Stars Hollow outdoor scene as the hay bale ride goes past. And we see Miss Patty's dance studio, or some weird version of it. Pretty sure they filmed it here, down kind of the road at the Unionville train station. In this dimension there's some kind of ice rink out back, because one of the things she teaches is ice skating. And now Miss Patty is horny for the 16-year-old boy too.
What male friend? Oh, he's very cute. You have good taste.
I mean, she shouldn't really be allowed to teach children. Then it's back to the Gilmore house, and we get to see more of the strange internal layout of this one. It's kind of the same as their normal house, but like there's a step over here, and everything's kind of ugly. Interestingly, they only refilmed the scene in Rory's bedroom in this version. I can't really work out why. The only real difference is that they made Rory a bit stroppier in this one, I think. And at the end, she clearly pushes play on a cassette tape player instead of a CD player. You know, the Macy Gray CD from earlier? I saw it, it was a CD, not a tape. It doesn't really make sense to change this. You know, Rory might have just copied the CD to a tape, so when her mother steals it again, she can still listen to it. In the reshot version, they both have CD players. Did Rory copy the CD? Maybe? There is evidence later in the show that Rory is a filthy music pirate.
Hey, do you want the arcade fire?
I don't know, do I?
Yes.
Then yes.
But she doesn't get a computer till way later. I mean, this stuff matters to me, damn it. Suki continues to endanger the lives of her co-workers and continues to not be fired. When they arrive for their first Friday night dinner, you'll be surprised to learn that Lorelai is carrying an empty coffee cup. No doubt because they were just at Luke's, where she probably ordered a 7-course meal and they just walked out the door without touching it. Gilmore decor continues to be horrific, but now it just kind of starts mysteriously disappearing between shots. Its dimension is slowly collapsing in on itself. At the dinner, Lorelai throws a bit of a tantrum at the mention of Rory's dad. Come on, Lorelai. Your dad is just a bit of a dick. Get over it. You're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. You were also being a bit of a dick there too. In fact, everyone at this table is a bit of a dick. Just live with it. All of these characters become such way more terrible people later on. Just enjoy them being at their mildest. Lorelai comes across as being a bit of a massive baby here. Just let your mother see her daughter and granddaughter every now and then. That's not even being privileged, it's just the minimum a normal person would do to not be a dick. So then it's back to Luke's to pretend to want more food and then to make fun of his personal hygiene.
Behold the healing powers of a bath.
Stop making fun of him. He could spit in your burgers if he wanted to. And Rory, you don't want to grow up to be like your mom.
You do not want to grow up to be like your mom.
Sorry. Too late.
Oh, for fuck's sake. We've lost her. Nice Canadian Rory is no more. She's on that path to fucking other women's husbands and stealing boats now. It was nice knowing you. We'll see you in another dimension.